Are you struggling to understand how people are interacting with your website? Hi, I'm Munna from Munalytics. In this video, I'm going to show you how to track page view and click conversions in GA4. This will help you turn real data into business insights. This is part one of my three-part tracking conversions in GA4 series. Let's dive in. The first step is to go into Google Tag Manager and create a trigger. So, head into your Google Tag Manager account. When you log in, you'll be greeted by this screen. What I want to talk about first is triggers. What a trigger is essentially a listener that's waiting to see an action that you have told it to listen for. There are many different triggers and they form the basis of sending events to different systems such as Google Analytics. For today's video, we're mainly interested in a few different trigger types. First one being page view. Essentially, you're asking it to listen for when there is a page view. And as with any triggers, you can add filters. As it's currently set up, it will fire every time there's a page view. For example, if someone is using a thank you page after a form or something like that, we want to fire the event on that page. So we're going to select some page views. I'm going to go across to my website. I'm going to set up a conversion for when someone hits the contact us page. So I can now see the URL of this page. I'm going to actually copy that and say when the page URL contains contact. Another item I am interested in tracking is button clicks. For example, you could also track when someone clicks the contact us button. One thing I normally use the button clicks is for phone calls. So as you can see here, I have a phone number that has the ability to click to call. In a lot of these cases, you can inspect to see the different variables involved. For any all click to calls, always it's a href, which is essentially means a link, as in it's linking to another quote unquote page, not exactly a page in this situation, but it will always start with tel dot dot. So the way we would set up a trigger or a listener for when someone clicks on that is we'll click new under trigger configuration. I use for phone call just links, and then I want some link clicks because I don't want it to be on every link. Currently, you only see 4 variables here, which isn't many. If you click choose built-in variable, you will see the option to add in a multiple of variables. In this case, I'm going to use click URL. And when it contains tell, then I know phone call click. And I can save this. We can inspect and see different attributes allocated to each item. For example, the tell here, we can see everything relating to that. So it's a link, its name, and stuff like that. Let's take a look at this contact button. Again, we could use the link and says if it links to this page. However, I want to show a different way. So I'm actually gonna copy this class. And we're gonna create a new trigger. This time we're gonna say click on all elements, some clicks, and we're gonna say, we're gonna choose another built-in variable, and we're gonna look for click classes. Contains this, just a paste, and I'm gonna say contact us button. So now we've set up our trigger or listener, we need to tell it what to do once it hears this event. This is where we start to look at tags. The way I look at tags is they are an action that I'm going to tell GTM to do something with the data. In this case, all of my actions are going to be sending the information to GA4. So we're going to set up a new tag. If you watch my previous videos, you'd hear me say that naming convention is important. I like to start with the platform, what I'm sending, and then the specifics. So for example here, GA4, I'm sending a conversion and it's a contact us button click. The tag we want is a Google Analytics GA4 event. For the measurement ID, you will need to grab your analytics ID. If you wanted to know how to find that again, if you go to admin data streams, you can see the data stream and here is your measurement ID. As a tip, you can store variables within GTM. So if you click here, variables, we can configure a new variable. Gonna be a constant because our GA4 ID doesn't change. Paste your measurement ID in the value and give it a relevant name. Now that we have this ID set up, instead of typing it out or pasting in each time, we can just select GA4 ID from our variables. For our first event, I want to do the call event. So I'm just going to call the event name call. Over here, I will choose a trigger. The trigger I'm going to choose is obviously my phone call click. I'm going to give this a relevant name and save it. Naming conventions are important. So in this case, I have GA4, the platform, what I'm sending, which is an event, and then the specific of the event's phone call. I'm going to set up two more tags, one for the contact us button and one for the contact us page view. So again, get the relevant name. Then select the Google Analytics event tag. I can put in my GA4 ID. If you do a double bracket like this and then start to type, you will see all of the different variables available. This I'm going to call the contact us button. The triggering is going to be contact us button and I'm going to save. One more for the contact us page view. You can probably just skip until the end where this is filled out. I'll tell you when. Which should be set up something like this. And we can save. The setup is now technically complete. However, there are two very important steps that we need to do to finish it up. The first one is test the events are working. And the second one is to publish the container. Until you press submit and publish, nothing is live. Let's jump into testing, in which we'll use the preview function. And I also want to use the debug function in Google Analytics. To do so, I would go to admin debug view. Over here, I'm going to go preview. It's going to ask me which page. I'm going to click connect. And in this case, it's opened it in a new window. Within GTM itself, you can see here's the pages that have been visited, and you can see every tag that has fired. So far, only my page tracking tag has fired, which is a good sign because I haven't completed any of the events yet. We look in Google Analytics, you should see the page view come through. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on services, just because I want to make sure none of the other tags are firing. As you can see, we can look at the service page now specifically. No other tags have fired. Overall in the summary, no tags have fired. Let's click on the contact us. Now we see the contact us page view has fired. Our contact us button hasn't worked. We can actually review that. This is good to know. Finally, we're going to click on the call number and we can see the phone call has now popped up. What is interesting is you can actually see when different events have fired in the left here. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But you can tell that it's fired at the right time because there was a link click, and at that time the phone call did fire. Within analytics, we should see these events now fire. So here we have the general events. We have a call event, a contact us page view. If your events don't fire, as my one did not, we can see there was a link click here and it will tell me what did and didn't fire. You can look into the variables and we can see there is a link click that went from the services page to the contact page. You can see the click URL there. However, it did not fire my contact us button. When we click on here, we'll see the event GTM click, the click class was correct, but the event GTM click did not fire, is what it's saying to me. It will show you what the requirements are, so what the trigger or the listener is looking for, and what didn't fire. In this case, it's saying that it wasn't a click, but rather it was a link click. With that in mind, what I can do is modify this contact us button. I don't need to go back into the triggers. If I just click here, it will take me exactly into this. And I'm going to change it to just links and have the click class contain this. I've made this change. I'm going to save. I'm going to stop this preview. Stop debugging. And I'm going to start a new preview. Now, when I click on this contact us button, you can see it's fired. And if I was to go back to this link click, see it's specifically fired here. One of the variables, we went from munalytics.com to contact. Now that it's picking up that it is a link click, we're going to publish these changes. Remember, until you publish, nothing goes live. So in this case, we're going to submit. Make sure you put in a name. As you can see, I've given it a name and a description of what's been changed, and then I will publish. Now that we've published the container and we are sending events to analytics, we want to mark some of these events as key events, formerly known as conversions. If you go to the events tab under admin, you'll see all the different events firing, and you can mark any event here as a key event. In my case, as I've just added in these events and it hasn't had much time to process the data, they will not show up. I would highly suggest still setting it up as a key event. If not, you can return at a later date and mark it as a key event. Under key events, you can select new key event and your event name. Your event name needs to match exactly what is set up in your tag. So in this case, it would be cool. What I normally do is open up the tag, copy and paste the event name, so there's no room for error. And once you've saved, you will see that it's there. So if a call does come in, it will automatically be marked as a key event. With that, you're likely ready now to set up the first few events for your business. There are some best practices slash good to know points that I would like to round out this video with. The first one is identifying your business goals. Don't set up everything as a key event. That should be saved for your core business goals. Think of it as conversions. The second one is using consistent naming in events. It just makes everything cleaner. And as a note for events, instead of using spaces, use underscores. Within Google Analytics 4, events or key events can't have spaces in the name. Third is that ad blockers or the new cookie consent may stop data being sent back to analytics. So if someone is using an ad blocker, you may not see if they completed a conversion or their session may not appear. And finally, Google Analytics may be showing you sample data. Data sampling is where it will estimate the number of events, sessions, and stuff like that rather than giving you actuals. This may mean there will be discrepancies between what Google Analytics is reporting in terms of how many people completed an event versus the actuals. If you had any issues at all tracking conversions, please leave me a comment down below and I'll try and get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks so much for watching.